Welcome to this Death is for the Dying Epitaph, a mini episode of the podcast. I'm your host, Rebecca Richmond. And as always, joining me today is Marco Barlow, our producer. Hey, Marco.
Hello, hi everybody.
How is it going?
It's going well. It's going well. It is very warm here today. By the time this gets out, it might be snowing in other parts of the country, but it has been a wonderful day and a wonderful weekend so far. How about you?
It's good. It's good. It's beautiful fall weather in the 60s.
Oh,
Be
jealous.
smug.
Jealous. We've resorted to talking to the weather.
I know.
This is
Do you
odd.
prefer would you do you wanna talk some hard questions?
Let's talk about some
I
hard
have some
questions.
hard questions for you, Marco.
Okay. Okay. Bring it on.
All right. What is good enough for you to want to continue to live? What makes life worth living?
Oh my gosh, what makes life worth living? It is probably one of the single hardest questions that I think any one of us can face. So I think for me, and I mentioned this in the last epitaph as well, if I lost the ability to use my body in some way, shape, or form, that would not be enough for me to carry on, kind of thing. So when we talked about ALS and the fact that, it basically shuts your body down and you can't really do anything, you're bedridden. I guess maybe that could be maybe not just ALS, but anything that makes me bedridden, do not want to live after that.
Mhm.
Because I'm a person that loves being outside. I'm a person that loves going places. I love, being able to use all my faculties to do stuff for other people and for my family, for my friends, for whoever needs it. And I think if that ability was taken away from me, I it would be hard for me to want to continue living because I derive a lot of my identity from helping others.
Right.
And if that goes away, I don't know what I would do. Can I flip the question back on you
So you can.
and be like, well, what's good enough for you?
Well, I mean, I think this also goes back to the previous my answer for the previous epitaph, and that is I would not want to be in constant pain.
Yeah.
Um, I'd also want to like be able to enjoy things, like enjoy eating.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be on a feeding tube. I wouldn't want to be in a hospital, like listening to machine noises, not to be able to go outside, not to be able to have my pets. Yeah.
Yeah.
But definitely like I don't want to live in constant pain. If I didn't have that, if I didn't have the ability to just like sit outside, or if yeah, if I was in pain. So I want life to be enjoyable on some level.
Do you think maybe there is a different, level of enjoyment that we could get, even though you may, or people that have some kind of medical issue that, maybe they discover different part,
Yeah, I
different
mean,
aspect of their life that, they find enjoyable.
certainly my mom was like, I would off myself before I lost my marbles. She has lost her marbles. She seems pretty happy as long as she gets to drink some Coke
Yeah.
and have
Yeah.
her iPad.
Yeah. And if
So
that's all she needs.
maybe you adapt. And maybe that's something that seems unimaginable to us now. You adapt and you get used to it because there's still something there for you. It's still not as bad as it could get.
And maybe your expectations change. Like maybe
Yeah.
the older you get, you may not be able to do certain things and certain, you know, hobbies that you used to do when you were younger, you can't do now anymore because, aches and pains and whatever, or, your eyesight is gone. But maybe, at that point where you do get this kind of diagnosis, maybe you're just like, okay, I may not be able to do all the things I used to do, but maybe I can do this one thing, and that
Yeah.
one thing is enough.
Yeah.
Um, so I said before that, being bedridden was probably the hardest thing, and the one thing that would prevent me from continuing with living. But if I had to maybe adjust my standards a little bit, or maybe kind of think about the one thing that would keep me going, it would be to live long enough to see the Toronto Maple Leafs win the Stanley Cup. I don't
Yeah.
know if that's ever going to happen, but I mean, the last time they won, my dad came to this country. Like he emigrated to Canada in 1967, and they have not won since then. Mm,
Breathe,
serenity
my
now,
friend.
serenity now. So,
Yeah.
if they got good and I could see that they're getting good, maybe I'd want to live a little bit longer so I can see that happen. But I don't know. We'll see.
Would you be open to consider either like if life was that bad, if the Toronto Maple Leafs never got good,
Which is
um
a definite possibility.
yeah, I'll take your word for it. But yeah, um would you ever consider either medical aid in dying or doing something like the voluntary stop eating drinking for yourself?
Yeah, actually, I would. Uh, there was a movie, not I can't remember the title of it for the life of me. It was about a person. I think they were like a university professor at McGill University, and they got a cancer diagnosis, and they were, pretty much on death's door kind of thing. And the one thing that I vividly recall from this particular movie, it's the only thing I remember, is that the way that this person wanted to go was they had like a cottage or a cabin, as we say here in the States, where they got all of their friends together. They had a wonderful celebration. They sat down, and somebody was kind of staying behind with them. They sat on the porch in the chair, and basically one of their friends administered a needle to them, and the person just basically died sitting on the porch looking at the sunset in this wonderful kind of natural setting. And I feel like that is the way that I would want to go. I would love to have that exact experience so that I'd have an opportunity to say goodbye to all the people I care about, and then to witness the world and all the beauty that it has to offer as my last image.
Yeah.
That would be for me the thing that I would want to do. So yeah, I'd probably do MAID or medical assisted dying.
I think having that control, just because if you don't choose what's going to happen, is you will end in it, almost certainly die in a hospital. There's a pretty good chance of it. And that's not where I want to have my last moments.
Hmm.
Um, there's another movie called The Sea Inside with Javier Bardem, which is about a man who is completely paralyzed and has been trying to get uh medical aid and like a legal injunction as made as I think it's set in Spain and it's illegal, and he's trying to convince people to let him die. And it's they in the end it is, I don't know that it's exactly legal. It's more like they kind of make it so that no one person is entirely responsible for the death.
Mm,
um but he does eventually get out of basically the torment of being in a body he can't control at all, and being completely
mm,
dependent on people. And I think I know there are some people with qualms about MAID being, people being sort of pressured into MAID, or factoring mental illness, like what's like a reasonable wish to die versus what is a suicide, like something that's speaking out of a mental illness. So I know it, like you don't want to, make it free and easy for everybody. But I desperately would want that to have the option, to
mm.
be able to do that. And unfortunately, both of you and I live in states where we can do that.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's also voluntary stop eating, drinking. I don't, well, I guess I would have to think about that one when the time came.
I think that one might
Sounds
be
a
a little
little
bit more
bit less
painful.
pleasant. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the
Yeah.
whole falling asleep. That's it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
slowly dying of thirst, you know.
Yeah. The other thing that I have really kind of struggled with when it comes to like MAID or even VSED is the whole religious aspect to it, right? Because I believe, and it's been a while since I've been to church, but my Catholic upbringing tells me that I believe MAID is a form of suicide or
Yes.
is suicide in the eyes of God. And because of that, that is a sin. So this is where, a lot of folks, including myself, have these struggles because you want to have some level of self-control into how you want to pass away. But if you go by the strict Christian doctrine, you have to suffer through it. And then once you have finished suffering, only then will you be redeemed in heaven and judged at that time of your passing. And that's hard. That's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of folks. And I struggle with that kind of dichotomy in my head all the time when it comes to these topics.
Yeah.
So I know there's probably a lot of people out there that have the same kind of opinions as well, or same kinds of
Yeah.
struggles.
Struggle. I guess coming from a not particularly strongly religious background, I have a hard time with a God that would want people to suffer. And I think there is kindness in ending suffering or allowing people to ending suffering. I think there's complications. I think there are times when it's not straightforward and it's not clear whether or not the person is capable of making judgments or, if somebody's pressuring them into it. I think there's definitely, some hard places. Like if you're in pain, but it's not terminal,
Mm-hmm.
should you be able to end your life? Each case is gonna be so personal.
Yeah.
But I don't. And well, the thing is, I also think sort of like this is something my mom would say is like it's not virtuous to make other people suffer for your morals. So like
Hmm.
if you believe that, that's and you want to, you would never do made, that's fine. But you can inflict suffering on other people because of what you believe.
Interesting.
And so that's kind of my take on it. Like you don't get to tell other people that they have to suffer because of something you believe and they don't.
Mother's a very wise person.
Yes, when she is not demanding Coke. Um, so I'm guessing I know what the answer to this is, but would you be able to help someone, say your spouse, your children, be either do MAID or VSED?
the the kids thing, I was not expecting that. That's oof. Oh man, that would be really challenging. Um, I think I could. I think I could. Provided
I
that
mean, presumably they're adults.
okay, yeah. That's yeah. Okay, good. Don't need to have that nightmare going to bed tonight.
Sorry.
Um, but no, yeah, if I was able to talk it out with somebody and be able to kind of really understand their point of view, I would, because my nature is to help others. So if it's to help end their suffering, I'll do it. I think I could. I think I could do it. I really could. Because who am I to judge
Yeah.
what other people want? And if I would actually even in a weird way be honored that they thought of me to do it for them. I
Y-
mean, I think that would be an indication of the strength of our relationship and how they view me and how they value me as a person, that I would be the one that will take them to the next stage.
Yeah.
And it's weird when you think about it, you know, like, is this an honorable position? Most people probably would say no. But I would say, yeah, it is. Because it's rare that we get the opportunity in the first place to decide. So many other things out there that can take you out.
Yeah.
Car crash, heart attack, whatever. But to actually have the choice to do it, and not only that, be able to choose the person that can do it for you.
Yeah.
That I think is just absolutely, it's rare, and I would be very honored if someone was to ask me.
So, just a quick disclaimer here. We're not, when I was to talk about helping somebody take MAID medications, legally, anyone who's doing MAID has to be able to swallow the medications themselves. So, it's not like we're talking about injecting people. They would still have to voluntarily be able to take the medication and physically be able to take the medication.
All the
Um,
lawyers are happy now. The lawyers are
yes,
happy.
we're not talking about offing people. Just
Exactly. Hopefully
no
this
no mercy, no angels of mercy here
exactly.
situation. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would be able to. I mean, I don't have kids, so I don't have that sort of emotional connection with anybody. I definitely my parents. I mean, my mom, she's not competent to make the choice, but if my dad wanted to, I could help him out. And I mean, I know it's not quite the same, but like when you put a pet down, like you're making that choice.
Yeah. I'd never thought
Um,
of that. You're right.
yeah. And I haven't had to make that choice yet, but my cats,
But that's a good point though. Like it's a similar kind of experience. It's a, you know,
it's hard.
it's a
I mean,
decision.
it's
Yeah.
worse because you have to make the decision for for an animal that cannot make the decision.
Right.
Again, with Maid, the person is actually making the decision. So we don't want to
Right.
do like a one-on-one comparison there. But there are elements of like you're choosing comfort over a long, painful death.
Right.
And you're the one that has to take them to the vet.
Yeah. They should have a pet doula.
They should.
That'd
Should.
be that'd be a great
I'm now questioning
job.
my whole bringing pets into this.
Really? Why?
I don't know. It feels like a bad comparison.
I think it I don't know. I think there's a lot of similarities there. I think there's a lot of um emotions. The emotions are the same, right?
Yeah.
And if we think about even some stories that we're going to hear later on in further episodes, one of the hardest deaths that one of our guests had to go through was actually putting a pet down.
Yeah. That's
And
true.
it's it's one of those things that, yeah, you can go to the store and get another one. I get it, but if you've been with a pet, some pets are they're longer than most relationships that people have.
Yeah.
So I think
Certainly
it's
had
totally
Clive
valid.
longer, or Clive and Darwin longer than I've ever had a relationship. So,
There you go. See?
all right. Well,
With that,
on that cheerful note,
on that cheerful note, we should probably end this epitaph.
yeah,
Uh,
Marco, you want
I'll
to take?
take it away. So thank you everybody for joining us as we always appreciate you spending the time listening to us talk about these wonderful topics around death. And we would like to include you as part of that conversation. So please, if you have a moment to spare, hit us up on our email. You can email us whoa, I almost messed up there. I didn't though, because I
Not as easy
stopped
as it
myself.
sounds.
I'm going to do it. Life is for the living podcast at gmail.com. That is the email address. The handles on Instagram and Twitter, or X is at Life is for the L. So please hit us up. We'll be more than happy to engage with you. Even if you're from Germany, we will learn to speak German and
Ja,
reply
cool.
back to you in German.
Vielen Dank.
Danke. Have a great day. Bye, everybody.